There's a moment in grief no one prepares you for. It's not the phone call, it's not the hospital room, it's not even the funeral. It's the moment weeks later when you realize people have stopped asking how you're doing, they assume you're okay, and you're back at work because you answered the message, because you showed up. But inside you, you're still, there's still something hiding. You're still waking up every morning to the same ache. Your grief didn't end, it just became invisible.
And when grief becomes invisible, it becomes lonely. This is Pillow Talk, your safe space to share and realize you are not alone in your grief. I am your sister Liz.
And I'm your brother Alex. Today we're talking about people who feel forgotten in their pain, the ones carrying loss quietly, the ones asking a question that scares them to say out loud, who am I now after this loss?
This episode isn't about moving on. It's about what happens when life resumes, but your heart hasn't caught up. If you're still hurting, stay with us. This episode is for you. We want to say something clearly without softening it. Grief doesn't end when the funeral does, and healing does not mean returning to who you were. Loss changes you, and pretending it didn't costs more than people realize. The early days of grief are loud. There are tears. People are around you. People are trying to comfort you, support you. Rituals occur, wakes, memorials, sharing memories. But later, grief gets quieter.
And because it's quieter, people assume it's gone. But quiet grief isn't healed grief. It's grief which learned how to hide. This is the stage where people feel the pressure to be normal again, to perform strength, reassure everyone else that they're okay.
And that pressure, my lovely listeners, it slowly disconnects you from yourself. This is the pressure where depression creeps in, anxiety, fear.
Here's something we don't talk about enough. Society gives grief an expiration date. At first, your pain is understandable, but eventually, the unspoken message becomes, it's been long enough. So you start questioning yourself. Why am I still sad? Why am I not moving on? What's wrong with me? Let us say this clearly. Nothing is wrong with you. Grief doesn't follow timelines. Love doesn't disappear because time has passed.
Functioning doesn't mean healing. Smiling doesn't mean peace. Showing up does not mean you're okay. It just means you're surviving. Loss doesn't just take a person, it takes the role that person played in your life. It takes the routine you shared. It takes the dreams you had for each other and the vision of you that only exists in relationship with them. You didn't just lose them, you lost who you were with them.
This is why grief feels disorienting. Because you're not only mourning someone, you're mourning yourself. And no one tells you that part.
And before we move on further, I want to share that I do understand what's being said. And we will only share things because we understand it or because we've experienced it. That feeling the need to be normal again because the world expects you to be normal after a week or 2 weeks, it is real. The world expects you to continue working as normal, being with your friends, doing what you did with your friends as normal. But underneath that pretend layer, there is loneliness. Every time you do something that triggers a memory of the person you've lost, that loneliness amplifies.
Know that you really cannot go back to normal and be grieving. You're hiding a part of you. You don't want to do that because you'll end up hurting yourself. So technically, you're not normal. Things aren't normal.
Exactly.
You need to ensure that your grieving process is completed, and then you can get to normal. That is very important.
And like we mentioned in our previous episode, grieving takes time. Give yourself the time. Now, we're not saying to lie down in bed all day and just let it consume you. Do not let it consume you, but do not rush it either. Do not try to fit back into a normal box. You don't belong in a normal box anymore. Your box has grown. Your box has expanded. 1/4 of your box has dropped down so that you're now seeing a different side of the world, a different side of life. You have to make a bigger box. Let us tell you a story. Not assuming that you know the Bible, I'm going to share a little summary of this story. There's a woman named Naomi. She lives in a time where family is everything. Your security, your future, your identity. Naomi loses her husband. Then she loses both of her sons. In today's language, she lost her husband, her partner, and her children. Her sense of safety, her future as she imagined it, she returns to her hometown broken. And when people see her and say her name, she responds, "Don't call me Naomi anymore. Call me Mara," because Mara means bitter.
She literally renames herself based on her grief. And here's the important part. God doesn't correct her. He doesn't shame her. He doesn't tell her to have more faith. He walks with her through it. And that is what matters. The story allows her pain to exist.
Because only in living through our pain and letting it ride its course do we emerge stronger,
Greater.
more beautiful. Our faith is deepened.
The connection with God is stronger.
You even get a stronger sense of who you are.
Very true.
Now let's bring this into modern life. This is the moment when someone says, "I'm not who I used to be. I don't recognize myself. I feel harder, quieter, changed." That doesn't mean you're failing. It means that loss touched something deep. And like I said just now, it means you've stepped out of a small box into a bigger box. Because now you understand what loss feels like. And so now you find yourself thinking of ways to live healthier, live better. You take precautions, you take steps into making sure you do things so that your loved ones don't go through what you're going through as instantaneously.
That story shows us how loss can reshape identity. But there's another story that shows us how healing unfolds over time. Two men are walking home after losing someone they deeply believed in. Their hope is gone. Their future feels empty. A stranger joins them on the road. He doesn't interrupt. He doesn't correct them. He doesn't rush them. He listens. Later, they realize that stranger was Jesus. But here's the key part. He didn't reveal himself right away.
Healing doesn't happen in one moment. Understanding comes slowly. And sometimes you don't even realize support is walking beside you until later. If your healing feels slow, you are not doing it wrong. Just allow it to flow. And if that one person that messages you daily with a simple "How are you today?" sometimes it can feel like an annoyance because you're in your grieving moment. But rest assured that is the support that's going to help you at the end. That's the support that's going to make you feel, I can get over this. I can do that. So as people supporting others who are grieving, try not to be in annoyance of doing it every single day, but don't give up on them either, because they need that support from you. They need to hear that you are still there. You're giving them time to heal and you're waiting. And for those who are grieving and you do have that friend or friends that message you every day, just remember and understand it's because they love you and they care. And they really want to make sure that you are healing. Because somehow we do understand that grief is very dangerous. Even if we have not experienced it in life yet, we do have that understanding of the danger it holds, because grief is a killer, just like stress. So allow yourself time to grieve, yes, but also give yourself a fighting chance.
Here are grounded, practical ways to care for yourself in this stage of grief. Tool 1. Detach worth from how well you're coping. Your value is not measured by strength, productivity, or positivity. How well you're coping, you're worthy even when you're undone.
In other words, everybody asks how you're doing, and you're going to say, I'm okay. But detaching yourself from that and allowing yourself to go through the pain, to go through the hurt, is when you would learn who you are, and you will grow in your faith, in your strength, in your independence. You will grow.
Tool 2. Speak to yourself like someone you love. Replace I should be over this with this pain makes sense. Compassion calms the nervous system. Shame intensifies grief.
And I don't know if you remember when we did the episode of dealing with our children, I mentioned that human beings, we are our biggest critics. We criticize ourselves way bigger and harsher than other people criticize us. And so this step, this tool, is so effective, because when you start to look at yourself and try to speak to yourself the way you would speak to your child, you will not tell your child half the hurtful things you tell yourself. So
because your heart is on yourself.
Your heart is on yourself. You would be kinder with your child or with your friend in telling them something than you are kind to yourself. So when you're talking to yourself, imagine speaking to someone else so that you're not as harsh.
Be compassionate.
Be compassionate.
Tool 3. Allow identity to evolve. You don't have to erase the old version of yourself to grow. Carry them with you, not as a weight, but as wisdom. Be wiser.
This is where maturity kicks in. This is where people realize, hey, I'm an adult now. So you allow yourself, your past self, your old self, to be your learning point, to be your teacher, so that your new self, your future self, can be wiser, can be stronger, can be way better. Isaiah 43 says this: forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new. So don't use the past as a crutch. And you'll know that's one of my pet peeves. Don't use the past as an excuse for why you're behaving how you are now. Your past is something you're supposed to learn from and grow from. This doesn't mean denying it, though. It means God builds within what was lost, not against it. So use that as your building block. Use it as your foundation, because our past really is our foundation to who we are now and who we are going to be.
Here's a journal prompt to sit with slowly. Who was I before this loss? Who am I becoming now? This is following what parts of me are grieving, or what parts of me are growing. What does my grief reveal about my capacity of love? What would self-love look like? Not self-pressure. Write these things down. Write without editing yourself. This is sacred work. It helps a lot. Before we ask you to do anything, we want you to say this. If you're still hurting, it doesn't mean you're failing at healing. It means your love was real. Don't deny it. And real love leaves a mark. You're not behind. You're not weak. You're not taking too long. You're learning how to live in a world that changed without your permission. It was changed by His.
And that's a powerful sentence right there. It ties into the whole smaller box into a bigger box. You're learning how to live in a world that changed without your permission. People across generations have tried to put words to this kind of pain. Here are a few that have carried many through loss. So many people use these famous quotes we're about to share to carry on in life, to help them move on. Helen Keller wrote, "What we once enjoyed and deeply loved we can never lose. And think about it. Yes, our loved one is gone, but we still have their memories. And that's why I always say, take lots of videos, take lots of pictures. They help you in this hurtful, sad time. Another by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. The reality is that you will grieve forever. You will not get over the loss of a loved one. However, you will learn to live with it. You will learn to carry it with you because it's a guide. It's a lesson.
Not a burden.
It's not a burden.
If this episode spoke to something in you, share it with someone who might be grieving in silence. Leave a comment with a name, memory, or a truth you're still learning how to carry. Your words might be the permission someone else needs.
And if this space feels safe for you, subscribe and stay with us. We're not here to rush healing. We're here to walk with you, to listen to you.
You're not broken. You're not forgotten. You're becoming. Take care, family. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. Psalm 34:18.
Amen.